Howdy, folks. How's it going? Let's today we're gonna do this laptop from start to finish. I did some of like the removing the stickers that were on like all the parts and stuff, just so we wouldn't waste as much time doing that. So I'm just gonna get started by cracking all these screws loose. This laptop is quite old. I want to say 10 years, something like that. Oh, these screws are going to go flying, aren't they? Okay. Maybe not. Let's do CPU there. Or that's the GPU, sorry. But yeah, this is a Clevo P170EM with a AMD, or well, ATI, sorry, ATI 7970 HD, I think. Pretty sure that's what I've got in it. So for some reason back then I decided to pay the extra for the AMD card, and I don't think it was worth the expense. I mean, I was happy at the time. Maybe it was. Maybe it was the laptop I needed and wanted. But, yeah. Let's see. Oh, that's cool. Man, that is such a nice design. Okay. Random. Whoa, that is baked. Okay, first of all, really cool design. You could just change the thermal interface material on the CPU by itself and change nothing else, and you have this, like, these 4 screws. That's cool. At this point, any laptop with socketed mobile. Yeah, CPUs are old. This is very old, but I was playing Battlefield. Oh, that's cooked. Let's zoom into that. I was playing Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1 on this. I'm going to zoom in here, and we're going to make that in focus, because obviously that is not focused. Guys, that is some... Can we just... Let's just do this. Let's just get real close here. Look at that. It's like... You see those, like... It looks baked to me. Like a dark brown, gray. Not good. So, but that's really cool design. Zoom back out here. And we'll get this contraption out somehow. I must be missing something. There's 5, 6. There's a 7. I just can't see it. You guys can see it. I'm going to go off the screen. Okay, so those 3 are for that. Now, is this going to be like welded on here? And I'm pretty confident I have all the screws out. Yeah. Okay, sometimes you just gotta be able to pry it. I mean, not bad. Oh, a little dust bunny. Whoops. Not bad for 12 years old, for the pads being in that condition. Now, that's with lower, yeah, very cooked old thermal paste. Brownie. We were baking brownies in this laptop. That's what we were doing. We're, you know, between the thermal channel hot sauce application with, like, to like baked thermal paste that turns brown, like, we're more about baking than we are about thermal putty, aren't we? Kind of. You know, I don't know if I really care about measuring these pads, guys. I'll save them. I can measure them later. I just don't really feel like wasting the time. And let's be honest, people don't like. I'll measure them off screen later, maybe. But and then I'll put that in the description. There's some really thick ones there. That's like 4 millimeters. Looks like. But most people nowadays, going forward, not most, but a good portion, there's a thin one, there's like 0.75, I'd say, are going to be opening up laptops that already have putty on them. Some of them will have pads, and in those scenarios, you know, I don't think many people are going to be opening this exact laptop. If they are, I'll still measure that. But let's show them the way that even without those measurements, just kind of winging it, they can get a good application. I think that's more important. And I love this design because it's like separate. I can do the PTM like last by itself, and that's great. Let's just do the GPU for now, maybe. Because the CPU, that's just going to be PTM. Maybe I'll do that after I apply this. We could do one at a time. We're not going to lose track of screws left and right. I think that's the play. Nick's brother says, my MX4 legit has like a saucy consistency when I push it out. Oh, are you at the end of the tube? there's a solvent, or not solvent, sorry, the oil. So the oil in MX4 does separate within the syringe during storage. And so when you're at the very start of a syringe or at the very end of a syringe, then you got to be careful of that extra oily bit of it. I usually just try and squeeze past that and like basically purge some, and then I toss it, because that stuff is not going to be very effective at all. It's going to be mostly oil and hardly, well, really, if it's clear, there's no powder in there, and it's going to really perform horribly. So here we go. Nice little, we'll set this in the battery tray. This is a nice laptop for removing the battery. That way you don't need to really worry too much. I don't know why they put this kind of annoying thing there. I don't like that. I don't think it's necessary to have that there. And the reason why I'm going to remove it, I think, is because well, A1 I want to, and if it's easy enough. If it's not, I'll leave it. But with PTM, it's just like I gotta be careful I don't damage anything here, but yeah, that's I don't think we need that. I'll throw some conformal on there. I think that's what I'll do. And we'll apply a bit of heat. We'll just let it, we'll do that first, and then we'll work on the putty, and then we'll work on the PTM. So I think that conformal is going to work just as good, or acceptably okay. I'm not saying that you guys should remove films. I'm just saying that I want to and decided to. If that makes sense. Parbs, you saw my comment on Frame Chaser's latest video. He was claiming PTM is worse than thermal paste on the CPU IHS. I'm not sure if I buy that. He's been wrong about many things in the past. So, and then thermal channel, the phase change on my heat spreaders for me outperforms liquid metal for CPU. So, okay. PTM7950, it's phase change, right? And he did actually mention that he ran it for a couple weeks, and I'm confident during that time he probably did have some decent load. But I wonder what his temperatures were. Because like what I usually do when I was testing the stuff on the IHS, and I was even tracking ambient temps, guys, which, like, logging them, not just saying, oh, you know, it's 22 because I've got air conditioning. No, like, I was actually logging them real time every 2 seconds. I ran my tests for 6 hours, and that was because I wanted to log and show the gradual improvement of PTM, and there was the most significant improvement during the first 2 hours of 80 degrees Celsius. That's what I was targeting, was 80 degrees Celsius. And if you don't have it at 80 degrees, then your IHS is definitely going to be, like, you got to get that temp up to get the IHS nice and hot. Just because your CPU says it's 60, doesn't mean your IHS is 60. Especially at the corners, right? Like, if this was an IHS right now, you got to think it's hot in the middle. You got to get the heat all the way to the corners, not the very edge, right? If you're dumping heat from the core, right, dead center, into, you know, the cooler, what's to say that it's that same temperature at the edge of the IHS? You need the whole thing to be at least 60. Yes, it starts melting at 45. It's still pretty viscous then. Then it'd be like a really thick paste that we would all consider to not pump out. That's what it would be at 45. Then at like 60, And 65, that's where it's like a bit more fluid. It's parabolic. That's the wrong word. Curve. It's not linear. So you want to get it really hot. But I think, I don't know. I think I trust that my results were like half decent enough to show that it at least was on par with pace. That being said, I haven't tested the pace that he was competing against, right? And he also lapped his die. So not his die. He lapped his IHS and his cold plate or whatever. So they were like perfectly flat, and that was good to do. And I think important, especially to get the cryo sheet to work properly, because cryo sheet can only compress down to 0.1 of a millimeter, right? So it's starting off thicker. It's starting off at a disadvantage to PTM, because PTM can melt down to 0.038 of a millimeter, which is, only 40% of the thickness that cryo sheet maxes out at, or mins out at, I should say. So that cryo sheet needs, ideally, to all be that thin as possible, but for that to happen, it has to be really, really flat surfaces. If you've got flaws at all in the surfaces, then it's going to accommodate for that, and it'll be at its very thinnest point where there's flaws. It'll be 0.1 if you have enough mounting force, but everywhere else it's going to be 0.11, 0.12 maybe. I don't know how far out the tolerances would be on an unlapped die. That's going to be different for each device, I think. So, okay. Pretty happy with that. Let's get some, oh no, that's not good. So, on the lid, there's like this ball that's formed on the side. But it's no, it's pretty rock hard. Okay, I think we've got a brush somewhere here. My desk is kind of full of stuff, but there we go, that'll work. And we'll catch up on the chat here. Bring back the dislike button. We got Zerpocalypse up in the house. We got Parbs. D-lid. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to catch up on that. You guys are having a great chat over there. That's good. Alright, let's apply this stuff so that we can start doing putty things. Because putty things are fun to do, There's a bit of adhesive in the corner here. Oh yeah, there's no reason to re-putty if your temps are good. Now I know on some devices, right, some older laptops especially, we don't have those temperature sensors, so you're really relying on like just trusting it to still be good. You gotta keep in mind, thermal putty is basically for the most part, it's a drier version of paste. It has a higher content of thermal boosting powders. Those are the oxides and nitrides that conduct heat but not electricity, right? So it's already starting off drier, which means volumetrically you're getting like close to that. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's got to be over 90% particulate matter, and only it's got to be less than 10%, I think. I could be wrong on that. As far as what the oil content is. So even if the oil gels, well then you're fine, because it's just turned into a pad then. And if the oil dissipates, but the material is still spanning the gap, as in it hasn't lost contact, then it's still going to conduct heat. Just like dried out pads can still conduct some heat, right? But the pads have polymizers added to them, if I'm using the correct word. I hope I am. Whereas a putty, I don't know, because everyone's pretty tight-lipped about this, but I'm pretty sure it has a bit of binding agent. But I think there's putties out there that might not have anything. That might just be like the carrier fluid, the oil, whatever they're using, but typically silicone. And then the mixture of powders, which are going to be different particle sizes to fill as much of the void as possible. If you look at, what was it, Tech Ingredients? I think the gentleman who made his own thermal paste, he sent them to LTT. He also made an epoxy that you could like add to it to make it permanent. He did a great video talking about what densification is, and so that's, you know, his numbers might not perfectly line up with what the goal is for putty. Putty's different than paste. We're going to find that out. We're going to find out if his numbers were right. I've got some ingredients that I've been making. I'm going to try. And make my own putty from scratch, just without having the insider knowledge of like what do people use binders? Do they not? What do they use? I'm not sure. We're just gonna try and wing it and make some of our own. Let's see if this has worked. Let's see. If I turn these lights off for a second, is that core gonna be glowing? Okay, I'm gonna turn one light on, and we're gonna do, let's see, what if I turn this light off? Okay, we're gonna zoom in. It's kind of grainy, hey? It's not, you can't really, like, I can see it. I can see it glowing, but it kind of looks a little janky to you guys, so I'll turn that back on and we'll get the lights going again and put that back over there. But we've coated around the GPU die, and we don't want to have any of this on top of the silicone surface, so we are going to just wipe it off a little bit. I can see there's like a little bit of bleed. This is not a wet Q-tip. This is a damp Q-tip. So I dabbed it in the dipper, and then I kind of like wrung it out in my fingers, and I'm staying on the top surface. I don't want to start rubbing into the liquid below. Hey Curry, how's it going? I'm just going to be doing a putty PTM job on this decade-old laptop of mine. It's a Clevo P170EM. It's a 17-inch gaming laptop, and it brought me much joy. I actually traveled with this overseas for a while. This has been to Saudi Arabia and back on numerous occasions. It's been to the UK, doing some offshore work in Aberdeen, the Granite City, if you will. Yeah, that's nice and clean. Okay, we're gonna do some putty. Ooh, first we're going to clean this up a little bit, just real quick. I don't want to take too much of you guys' time. Plus, I think Thermal Channel might be doing a stream. I'm not sure if you were going to do a stream or not. Yeah, it's a good thing I got a video of where everything was, because I didn't actually take pictures this time. But I feel like I'll be able to wing it for pad placement, and it's going to be okay. Or not pad, putty placement. And there was some pretty thick 4mm stuff, I believe, on these little guys here. So we're going to have to remember to put those there as well. I think we're pretty clean there. just want to see where this covers. It sits like that. So it's got anything that fits underneath that rectangle. We can, and they've totally raised metal for there. We're going to cover everything. We're going to have full coverage. Why not? And it doesn't matter if we go overboard a little bit. Yeah, we're going to go UTP-8. Why not? It's, honestly guys, it's the putty I have the most of. I do have a couple jars of Honda LTP-81. And I'm really hoping to send that to, like I want to send some to a couple different people, along with a couple other putties and stuff. And I don't want to dip into the jars, because they're currently full. I actually do have Honda somewhere in a partial jar. I could also reuse the UX Pro that came out of my personal laptop. My Gigabyte Aorus. What do you guys want to see? Do you want to see UTP-8 go on here? Or if I can find it, do you want to see the UX Pro that came out of my other laptop? That's awesome. So we have the option of using the UX Pro that I ran for 16.5 months off, like we could put it on here, or, and it's still soft, which is surprising, like I know. Or we could do reuse some, whatever I did there, some UTP-8. Curry, yeah. So Honeywell HT10000 available on eBay. I definitely think that's maybe, only offers 5 and 50. Yeah, it's not, I'll probably buy some, because I'd really like to see if that's a legit source, because that's definitely like another option. It's good to have options. They can play with the price if they want in the future. We should figure out if it's legit, right? If it is, then some people are gonna buy it, and that'd be cool to have more options for sure. It's expensive, but you know, if you were doing a laptop and you only wanted to buy 2 of the 10-gram containers, it's still within the realm of like attainable. You could still buy that and not worry too much. Okay. What do you guys think? Do you want to see reused UX Pro go on the VRAM and everywhere else that came off my my other laptop, or do you want to see UTP-8? I don't know if it matters. It's pretty overpriced for now. This is for Robert Starkey. This is just funsies. Yeah, this is like a really old laptop that just needs a little bit of love. And I honestly thought, I was under the impression I'd already done a putty job on this thing a few years ago using TGPP10. And then I started like opening it up to see what the fans are looking like, and I couldn't see TGPP10 everywhere, and I was like, oh no, I didn't even do a putty job. This thing's been sitting with stock thermal interface materials since I bought it, which is sad. You know, technician, you're the first one to answer, so each putty for each VRAM chip. That's pretty overpriced. Like, so Curry, are you saying you want to go like one and then the other, and technician saying UTP-8? I don't want to mix them, guys. Yeah, whatever's cheaper, they're already, both of these are now, like, I've bought both, and so I have more UTP-8. Let's use UTP-8. It's also softer. It's my preference, because there's actually, I don't think there's any reason to buy UX Pro. No offense, Up Siren. I don't think there's a point, because UTP-8 is softer, seems better, at least for my testing, and like marginally. It's about the same, to be honest. So like, same performance, it's softer, it's cheaper, so it's just easier to work with. But there's people that are still watching my old videos that don't watch all of it, or they'll read stuff. I don't have enough HT10000 to play with layered on one. I mean, that'd be fun too. I should do that on a different device that I'm willing to take apart more often, that has hotter VRAM, and one that we can track VRAM temperatures. I don't have that ability on this. I could open this up lots, but I think let's get some, let's do a rainbow putty on like a video card, and then I can, I'm just kind of hand rolling today. Then I could effectively check it, you know, and we could monitor temps too, which would be nice. Whereas this one, I'm just trusting, basically. Okay, so I'm just glancing at the pads over to my side. The VRAM looks like 1mm. So what is that? Is that going to be like a 4.5? I think, something like that. Let's do the little the surface prep here. I'm just dabbing it on the surfaces I want the putty to stick to. I don't need to do this on a laptop because I'm not flipping it upside down during assembly like I would a GPU, right? On a GPU, this part's important to do this prep like this, to leave that little light film. That's what you want. That's leaving a little oily deposit. And this stuff sticks better to itself that way. That's why we would do that. Okay, so there's actually a little fan duct. Or no, that's a little slot. Never mind. That's not a fan duct. Okay. This one is going to be clean in a second. Do I have aluminum nitride shims you could use on the VRMs? I do have aluminum nitride shims, and they are sitting right here. They are 1mm thick, so I can't use them on the VRAM because it would be too extreme. Too much mounting force. I guess it wouldn't affect my core application at all. Okay, this is probably closer to a 5mm log, but that's fine, whatever. Just gonna kind of put that into place. I'm just gonna lightly press on it. I'm gonna chop it off a little bit long. Just a little bit long. It's okay if it overhangs a little bit. Let's zoom in here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. You see how I've got it going past the VRAM just by like 1/8 of an inch. Over here it's, you know, about the same. That's because as it squishes down, some of it's going to want to go like outwards. So if we cut it a little bit longer, it's okay to have a bit more on here just so it gets full coverage in the end. I'm just rolling another log. Just going to try and make it about the same. Now, I'm not going to do balls this time. I'm just going to do logs. You could do either or. It's really personal preference. Both work fine. The VRAM is quite close together. Close enough for me to do logs. If the RAM was spaced out where there's like, you know, like a 1/4 inch between each RAM module, then I think the balls are the logical course of action and the way to go. If they're not, I mean, there's nothing wrong with just doing this one. I'm gonna put that there. Okay, I'll just do a little ball here. I'm just gonna push that down a little bit. It is delicious and pink, isn't it? Just 4mm gap is big to fill, so only the VRMs. I could go that way, but I'm willing to bet, guys, I'm willing to bet this material that's 4mm thick is lower performing than this material at 4mm thick. I'm willing to bet that. So I don't mind using a putty. Like back when we were using TGPP10, the spec sheet said gaps suitable to span gaps up to 8mm. Now they didn't mean like for thermally dense stuff, but they meant the material could like maintain and hold its shape for that big of a gap. I'm not saying use it for, you know, 8mm, but I'm saying 4mm is like probably just a-okay. It's not going to get too spicy. A nice plump little log there. Not even little. It's pretty thick. Not going to lie. It's 6mm here that I'm using, maybe 6.5. Okay, so the cooler, just going to go like this. Squish down. I think I've actually got too much there, but where were these guys again? I feel like they were on the back. Maybe they weren't. Wonder if they were right there. We probably have way too much putty. That's okay. It's pretty forgiving. We're going to do a test fit, which is what I recommend people to do when you're not sure. We're just going to mash it all on there and kind of just, it's going to look ugly. I'm totally okay with that. No VRAM die is smaller than the black rectangle. Ease of mind. It would be ease of mind to use some shims in a few spots, but I think today I'm just going to do this. Ooh. Can anyone remember where this like tiny little pad was? I can't either. Gonna say it was some on one of these. I just don't remember where. So we're gonna just put some putty here. We'll trim the excess. There's gonna be excess. Really not. I'm not worried about it. I'm having fun. Don't take away my fun. Okay. So I'm not going to prep this surface. I don't dab this one anymore, and that's because we want to see what the effect is here. So I'm kind of pressing down there. It's not quite flush. Gotta make sure I'm getting this. Okay, I'm gonna take my gloves off for a minute here. Let's get new ones. Just gotta find my my tool. Here we go. Okay. Pretty sure it was these three. Feels like it's going in. I'm just gonna get these ones started. And it's really just the 3 screws. I mean, that's crazy. And they just bottom out. There's no spring action on these because there's pads, right? Or putty pushing back. But I'm not too concerned with it. I'm not going to follow the order. You should. I'm not going to. I'm just going to go in a little triangle pattern here. What if this was the perfect application? It's not going to be, but what if it was? Wouldn't that be nuts? Okay, now this corner doesn't have a screw. We're going to help this corner out by pressing down on it, right? Pretty sure that's about right. Okay. So that's the screws in. Now we're going to take this out. We're going to see how the putty squish and like what all happened there. Hey Alpha, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. 4mm, time to rewind the recording. We could do that, but let's not. Let's just wing it. You know, okay. So it's a mess, right? That's fine. Let's zoom out to here. And maybe we'll zoom back in. And let's talk about what we're seeing here. And what we're seeing, can you guys see that? Okay. When I'm judging if it's good spread and good coverage, yeah, it's like formable, that. Look at the oil deposit on the cooler. You see that little like oval shape there? Well, that's fine. That was in this area here. I actually did use the right amount. We could put stuff on the outer edge for these, those are capacitors, I want to say, aren't they? But I'm not going to bother with the capacitors, I don't think. Yeah, actually, I'm pretty happy with how that all went. It like, we're going to reshape it, don't worry. But like there wasn't, see how, okay. This is what I'm talking about. Oh, that's too far out. Okay. See this edge here? You can see the outline of the components. And you can see just the ever so slight little bit excess. We actually use the right amount to span that gap and kind of like really give it a good thermal bridge. Things that don't have coverage right now, these four little black guys here. I'm willing to bet there was a pad right there, that thin one. Yeah, that's where the pad was. It was right there. So we're going to put some putty here as well when we redo it right now. So I'm going to get some gloves on. Right, it's okay to not measure stuff. You can just wing it, lay the putty down, and then do a test fit with the cooler, screw the screws in, see how it spreads, like take it back off again. I was pressing on a little bit, right, to help squish, but it really just squishes pretty good on its own for the most part. Still, doesn't hurt to press a little bit. And I'm thinking the amount was pretty bang on. So I'm just going to wing it again, because I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get it half decent. I did miss a spot. Starkey, is it right here? Like, right there? Where that like flips and goes onto there? That's got to be the spot, right? Those components in the upper right-hand corner. Add a pad. So just these guys up here. Yeah. Probably that. This guy here. That looks important. Because I don't know what everything is. I'm just a putty guru, not a like hardware guru. Not yet. Someday. I'm gonna get a soldering iron and start learning how to do this stuff with like repairs. I think that'd be fun. I'm just not there yet. That's all. Okay. So I think I rolled the right amount here. I'm just gonna press on it lightly. Press on it. We can center it if we want. You know, just to make sure it's gonna spread out nicely again. This guy. I'm gonna zoom out so you guys can see me rolling Putty. I'd put Putty in those other VRMs. They didn't have a pad, but it couldn't hurt. Are you talking about on the other side? Or make that pad longer where it was? Either way, yeah, I think you're right. More is better. More better. Okay, let's do 6-ish mil log. This one was that one there. More like 6.5, to be honest, but it's okay. Okay, that had to stay inside the border. We're going to do a thin little log of Putty there, because it was a very thin, narrow pad. This stuff, do one long one. More is better. Yeah. Nice. You guys are awesome for helping me out. This is my first time doing Putty on this laptop. It's nice to have company. But yeah, I'm pretty... excuse me. I'm happy with the spread of the Putty. Now, did I get it, like, barely bang on the first time because I've done this a lot? Maybe. Just look at your pads and try and think of, like, how it's gonna spread. Like you know, when you guys are experts at this, whether you know it or not. You're experts because you have probably in your lifetime either put peanut butter or Nutella on your toast. If you've eaten toast, I'm assuming you've had toast before. It's good stuff. And you're dipping into the jar of like peanut butter and Nutella, and you're getting like the right amount to put on the toast. And that's just something that, like, you know, you've done so many times in your life that you're like second nature. You don't even have to think about it. But yeah, that's all we're doing here. It's just, we're not putting it on toast, we're putting it on pads. And it's thermal putty, it's not peanut butter. There's a quote for you. It's thermal putty, not peanut butter. The little L shape. You saying, let's zoom in again. Are you saying the L shape up here? Because I'm going to do this whole row here. Or you're saying this little black L there. Yeah, we'll do that. We're going to putty everything. Because why not? We're going to put this guy here. I'm going to get more putty, more better. I'm just going to put a generous amount right there. And we'll just do that. I'm going to roll this one pretty small. I think we'll go with 3.5 to 4-ish mils to length. Okay, I think chop this one and just lay it down like so. Something like that. You know? Yeah, I don't want to drop it down a hole, so let's do that. And we got to do the other part of the L, which you guys can see, but is actually hiding from my view. Maybe that's why I didn't get it the first time. I'm gonna go generous. Okay, we're gonna have to go quite generous here, because there's nothing protruding down. So I have to bring that up to meet the void. The void that's right here is going to be right there, if I'm not mistaken. So we're just going to take a big blob of putty that's like super overkill, and we're gonna cut it in half, and then we're gonna put this big blob of putty, and we're just gonna put it right there like that. And I'm just gonna put a little bit more here. I don't want to flatten it down too much, but that's what we're gonna go with for putty. It's lots. It's fine. No problemo. No problemo. Okay. So we're gonna get this lined up here, and take these gloves off because it's doing this with gloves on is kind of annoying. But I do it for the putty. When you're shaping putty, you definitely want to use gloves. See this little bit of putty in here? I'm just going to pack that underneath and let it go where it may. I'm just going to get these started. I'm not going to screw them down just yet. This GPU is going to be so cool, it's going to turn into a 4090. And that's you know why that's so impressive though? It's because this is an AMD GPU. So it's still gonna turn into it. I'm sure of it. That's just me joking though. I know it's not going to. Wouldn't that be nice? You just upgrade your hardware just by adding some magical paste, and it like changes the actual components somehow. Like nanites. Taking the silicon, chewing it down, reforming new components and putting them back into place, micro soldering everything. You know, we're gonna have some cool technology 1,000 years from now, and I mean, I'm pretty sure putty's gonna be part of that. Yeah, we're definitely having fun tonight. Hope you guys had a good day so far. I've been having a great day. We went skating with my daughter and my son. Okay, so you guys can see the excess pressing out. No problemo there. It doesn't look like there's much along the edge. Just a little bit. And the question always is, like, do you trim or do you just pack it? We're gonna trim today, I think. But actually, see this VRAM here? It's sticking out. Sorry, I coughed in your ears, guys. It's sticking out 1/8 of an inch. So I'm actually going to, and yeah, the VRAM is smaller than that. It would be fine if I trimmed it all off. But I'm going to pack a little bit of putty kind of around the edges, just so I get full coverage of that one. So we'll just sort of do something like that. Too soft. Okay. I'm just going to get a little bit on my my spreader. trim this one too. Okay. That looks pretty good. I could actually, a gentleman I know has, I believe, the same laptop as me. Joe, if you're watching, I think you've got one of these too. And I believe he's got an upgraded video card past what I've got. I should probably, I should put a 1060 in here. This would be a usable, it's usable now, but it would be more usable. I like the idea of having it still be an effective thing to use. It's a nice idea for me. This laptop got me through a lot of stuff. It has sentimental value. And it's got a numpad, which is really nice for data entry and stuff. So does my Aorus. In fact, I won't buy a laptop that doesn't have a numpad. I just won't. Alright, now we're going to clean up the baked on decade-old paste really quick, if we can. Oh, you're 5 minutes behind. Oh no. Not sure how I started live and ended up behind, but I've checked something back to it. All we did was put a bunch of putty there and did a test fit. And then put some putty, put the putty back. It was basically pretty close. The first attempt, I didn't really need to... Yeah, that's definitely paste. Yeah. I like these plastic spreaders. They're useful as scraping tools too. I don't know where my spudgers are. The different ones that have like that really sharp edge. I need to get a bunch of those. I think I'm gonna buy some because you only occasionally get those things in like when you buy, you know, the Passionate Girl store, PTM7950. I think there's like a couple of those in there, but I don't go through a 400 by 160 sheet very often. So I've actually started buying smaller sheets from that store because they've broken it down to a, what is it, like a quarter sheet or 1/5. It's like, instead of being 400, I think they were doing 80 by 160 for like 25 bucks. And it's quite good. It's lots. Probably should have been soaking this in isopropyl for a while. Would have made sense. I'm probably not going to get this like perfectly clean. I'm just going to clean it enough to where I think it'll be good enough. Ideally, I'd like, if I was not doing a stream right now, I might get like I don't know, 3000 grit sandpaper, and I would wet sand. Or actually, I would use my my nigiri stone to lap this. But I have to make that flat on the diaplat first, and then I would do this, and I could probably like lap the die. But we don't have time for that today. And let's be honest, this is not any kind of like crazy high-end thing. I'm gonna try something. I don't know if this is a thing or not. Have you guys ever used paste to to clean? I wonder. Like as a light abrasive, like super light. Where is my MX4? Just one moment. So I didn't find, well, I kind of gave up on the, oh my gosh, it's right there, isn't it? Ooh, it's not, it's Arctic Silver 5. You know what? But we're going to use Arctic Silver 5, not for the, we're not going to use Silver 5 for the application. I don't plan on using this paste much for anything. I'm going to use it as a, I'm going to try. I don't know if this will work. A light abrasive. And we're going to use some sewing machine oil, which is just going to see if me doing this kind of acts as an abrasive to clean up that burnt-in paste. I'm not applying tons of pressure. I use sewing machine oil for times when I want to lubricate fans. You know, actually, I think it's working. Yeah, I wanted AS5 to be like old school and epic still, and I mean, I'll test it on Test Bench 3. I was going to on Test Bench 2 do an official test, but then I gave up on that testing because I didn't think it was accurate enough, which I think is a good reason to stop, reassess, and then go from there. All right. Let's see if that's had any effect whatsoever. I don't know. I don't know if it worked. We made an attempt, right? We're basically down to bare copper. There's there's not much more we could do without spending time and getting the sandpaper, which I don't really want to do. I don't yet. Maybe I'll do that in a future video, which is actually a good idea. Because what I'm going to show you guys today with my PTM application is something I've been talking about in the Discord for a while, and I've shown pictures there, but I haven't yet effectively shown that on YouTube yet. And I need to, but let's do it on this one. We're going to be cutting the sheet smaller than the actual die size for a couple reasons. And it's not about saving money, but that's a nice side benefit. So like, hey, why not? All right. So I'm going to, it's a dirty piece of paper, but it's going to work. Or maybe I have, do I have a clean piece of paper close by? I do. All right, let's do something like this. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, this is just a piece of paper, printer paper I grabbed. Okay. So let's zoom in here. That's almost full coverage. It's too much, way too much. We're gonna make it smaller than that. We don't want it that big. We don't. This is what I prefer. There's a couple reasons for it. Number one, this is phase change material. It's going to melt. It starts off at 0.25 of a millimeter, and then it's going to, right, the mounting force is going to push down. It's going to make this flow out. Now, what percentage is that? Let's see if I can get it really sharp. That's about, you know, we've got 50, that's 50% coverage-ish. Just about 50%. Got 3-4 millimeters on all four sides, but it's still about 50% die coverage. If I place that, someone will be able to take a picture and use Microsoft Paint to prove me right or wrong. But that's basically 50% coverage. Maybe it'll be easier like that to do later. Good screenshot there, and then you could like play around with that in Paint. So I'm gonna use that size of phase change. You guys know that silicon has like this material has a thermal conductivity. Ooh, I don't want to misquote this now. Pretty sure it was. Let's do this. Silicon. Just gotta make sure nothing is open. Silicon. Thermal conductivity. Solid silicon. At 293, okay, it decreased faster than the reciprocal of the temperature T1. So use a silicon, 148. We're just skimming here. We're not getting crazy accurate, obviously. Temperature Kelvin, we're gonna be that to, yeah. Okay, so silicon has extremely good thermal conductivity. All right, it's going to, we're still gonna have start off with a smaller piece That's going to act as that thermal bridge. And we're going to have less PTM that we need to heat up and melt. Right, it's going to start off at 0.25 of a millimeter. There's nothing else stealing any of the mounting force here for these 4 spring screws. So all that force is going to go into the die. And when it melts, it's going to get down to what, 0.038-ish, maybe a little bit less of a millimeter. So 80% of that material is going to flow out. Now, some of that's going to fill out the void that I haven't included, like the gaps around the edge. And we'll be able to take this laptop apart and actually see that and kind of prove that for you guys. But that's what we're going to go with. So I'm going to get this is PTM7950 from Caplink. This is the real deal. Doesn't get much realer than this. It's gonna be hard to do. If I do it the long way. We've got our... And this is going to be hard only because it's such a small piece. Which is fine. We're going to make it work. Let me grab some tape really quick. Canada Post. I prefer the Canada Post packing tape over that clear yellow stuff. This stuff's like super clear. Yeah. Snip it there. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of go like that. I've got it attached to a corner. Sorry if this part's a bit blurry for you guys, but here goes nothing. I'm just going to... Alright, so we're picking the same corner. We've got either side. Did that work? It did. Now what are we doing? Now we're just winging it. We're going to attach that over to there. Now we've got like handlebars. I'm not going to say anything more about handlebars. You know, I've kind of got an awkward angle here, but oh shoot! Oh, good thing I tightened that. Okay, we'll make it work. Did I do that backwards? Oh. Oh my gosh. That's embarrassing. Did that not peel? Okay, let's try that again. Okay, let me grab another piece of tape. Sorry, I must have had some skin oils on there and it didn't peel it apart. That's kind of anticlimactic, eh? Struggling with tape here, that's all. That can happen. Try not to get your skin oils on there. Handlebars? I was gonna make like a handlebar mustache joke, but I don't actually have handlebars. Usually this works really well. I don't know why I'm struggling tonight to get first peel on this. Hey, it's Fahonda. Fahonda Materials Factory. Hey Fahonda, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. I just did some putty and some phase change. Alright, there we go. We got a peel. Look at that. We got the first corner came off. I'm going to use a second piece of tape for the phase change. Thanks for coming to the stream. If that's the real Fahonda, that's kind of cool. You guys make really awesome putty. And your pads, your thermal pads, wow. I really like your 15-watt thermal pads. They're great. They're super soft. I prefer Putty, but as far as pads go, good job. Good job on the 15-watt pads. I think they're stellar. That's probably why Chris Fix in Germany uses them a lot. For Honda, you guys also got to check out the thermal channel. He's testing stuff too, and it's not just me anymore. There's like lots of people, but it's really, well, it might just. Okay, we're gonna talk about this. What I'm doing here. You should definitely check out the thermal channel sometime. So I've put the phase change into place, and I'm running my finger on it. It's going to warm it up. I'm pressing down gently, trying to make it adhere to the silicone. Now I'm going to let it cool. You know, ideally I would let it cool for a few minutes. We're going to try peeling this in a second. When I go to peel the second layer, let's zoom in. When I go to peel this second layer, I'm not pulling up. Don't pull up. When you want to grab onto the tape, you want to pull it back this way, back across slowly. If it looks like it's falling apart while I do this second peel, I'm going to stop. I'll go to the different corner. Let's try this. We're going to do this together. If Honda is watching, please work. Okay, the tape is not sticking enough. Come on, tape. Oh my gosh, it's not working. There we go. Okay. I just had to make it like press down and make it stick. So mostly I just struggled with the tape, but I didn't struggle with the actual peel. That's how you apply phase change. So yeah, it's starting off smaller than the silicone, right? 0.25 of a millimeter thick. When I mount the cooler, it's still going to be that shape and that thickness. When I load up the CPU or the GPU, I'm going to try and aim for 80 degrees Celsius. I'm going to run Furmark. I'm going to control the fan speed if I can. If I can't control the fans because the laptop's too smart and it won't let me, I'll literally block airflow with my hand, and I'll watch the temperatures using HW Info. And I'll get it nice and hot, and I'll be able to see it melt. If I log it, I'll probably record this one for sure. And then it's going to melt, it's going to cover everything, and it's going to be excellent, is what's going to happen. Hey, Fate's in the stream. Yeah, guys, check out the thermal channel. Check out Honda's pads and Putty. They make really good stuff. Honda, I still have to test your phase change. I think it was the green one. So I haven't tried that yet. I will definitely, and I think the thermal channel will also be testing that out. But so I've just put the cooler back in place. I've already cleaned it. We're just going to get these screws started. There's not a lot of spring action. There's not a lot of spring action on those screws. That doesn't... there's a little bit. We're going to leave it for now. I'm not going to mod the laptop at this point. But part of me wants to bend those up or do something to create more tension. But I'll do that maybe when we take this apart in a few days, let's say. We'll take a look at how that spread out after we melted it. You're developing new phase change, so we're also looking for real-world testing of other products. Oh, nice. Yeah, looking forward to testing out any new products you guys make. It's going to be good. Pretty sure the thermal channel is also going to be doing the same thing. Because you guys make really good Putty. That LTP81 is great. Okay, my one advice, because you guys make a lot of thermal interface materials. and your LTP81 and your LTP65 are good. LTP1's amazing, and 65's quite good, for sure. But they are both thicker putties, which is great for when people just want to use a thermal putty. They're ideal for that. They're great. But can you guys make a putty that compresses down to like 0.03 or 0.04 of a millimeter? We just need to be able to compress putties down ourselves as the end user down to 0.1 of a millimeter. For some of the newer laptops that are coming out with the ultra thin layers, what we need is a suitable medium to high performance putty that can replace some of the lower quality putties that we're finding. And right now, when someone shows me a laptop, not this one, but a different laptop with really thin gaps, and it's got this like white liquidy paste almost like putty on there, my recommendation, I'm not going to the top of the chart for the putties, you know, the Upsiren stuff, your stuff, the Honeywell stuff. I'm saying to most folks, for really thin gaps, to go to Helnseye, HY236, HY256, because that putty can compress down to 0.03. Now, it's not as performant as the other putties in the top of the chart, but at such thin gaps, it doesn't need to be. So it'd be really nice to have a mid-performing putty that compresses really well. It'd be great for laptops with super thin gaps. It's going to be good for mobile phones for super thin gaps. It's also going to be really great for shims. So when I want to install shims, whether they're copper or aluminum nitride, right? When I install these shims on VRAM and I want to only have a layer of 0.1 of a millimeter on either side of the shim, then it allows me to use a thicker shim, a thinner layer of putty, still decent quality putty on its own, but it needs to be compressible. We can't use the top chart putties because they only compress down to 0.14, 0.17. They're not suitable for shims, and that's why I typically recommend the Helnseye stuff for shims and thin gaps. If you guys could like compete with them on that, that'd be cool. I love your LTP81. I wouldn't probably change a thing about that. It's great. It's excellent softness. I don't think there needs to be any adjustment to it. It's in line with the competition for sure, performance-wise. And then I just think it'd be good to have a super thin option for putty. That'd be my... Yeah, and I've got emails, I think, with, I want to say Tim? No. Yes. No, that's with Helnseye. I've got the email for Honda, I think, so I'll get in touch with you guys and we'll talk about some, I don't know, just something that came to mind with that putty. And you know, my goal, I don't care about like one specific brand over the other. My goal is so that the end users have options. We should have options because there's people in different countries that don't have as many options for putty, phase change materials, as we do in North America and a few other places. So, okay, now we're going to do... This is cool. That I'm really glad that you came to the stream, Honda. That's great. And I'm just going to work on this. There's a few guys talking to you. These are a lot of the people watching this video are part of my my Discord server, and we talk about different products and all that stuff. So they've got their ear to the ground on the current knowledge, so to speak. Okay, this is interesting. Oh my goodness, do you guys see that? That's dirty. Okay, just cover your ears for a minute. Okay, I actually assumed there wasn't going to be any thermal pads here, but I was wrong. There's little thin pads, looks like 1 mil, just down here. And you know what? Because Fahonda came to the stream, we're going to use some Fahonda LTP81. It's good stuff. We're going to use that over here on the CPU MOSFETs, because why not? This laptop's going to be happy. This decade-old laptop. It didn't, when this thing was made, none of these products existed. And I think that's cool. Well, actually, there's a good chance that Honeywell PTM7950 existed back then. I wasn't aware of it, nor was I opening things up back then. I used to not open my devices. I would buy Arctic Silver 5 20 years ago, and that's as far as I went. You know, I'd overclock VRAM, not VRAM, I'd overclock DDR2 using that OCZ VX Extreme stuff. That was some nice RAM. I'd put fans on there, but I didn't open video cards. I'd build computers, and that's about as far as I went back. Yeah, 2 decades ago. It was only a couple years ago that I started doing this kind of stuff. Okay, this is where I need one of these guys again. It's quite hard. Paste. Yeah. So that's just some isopropyl alcohol, 99%. I wish I could be chatting with you guys more, but right now I'm looking down while I do this. That is rock hard. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do the Q-tip trick. So you cut the Q-tip on a 45-degree angle, right? Like that. Then you use that point. Let's zoom in here. Use the point to there we go. I knew I just had to apply a little bit of pressure at the right angle. And we're going to give it a little bit more of our IPA mix. Not the beer, the rubbing alcohol. I'm not too worried about the stickers. If I lose, you know, that info, we've got that on stream, so I could always look back if I really had to. Just gonna clean that up there. Get rid of the garbage thermal pad. Might measure that later on. Alright, we're not going to bother cleaning up the... trying to use the paste like I was earlier. Because I don't know if that was actually going to work or not. Zoom out here so you guys can see what I'm doing. So I've got... oh, almost dropped the screwdriver. Just got a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. We're going to clean up this baked on thermal paste. And make sure we get it relatively clean. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, the AliExpress store for Fahonda is the Fahonda store. If you go to the Fahonda website and you look at their thermal putties, I believe I think there still is. There's a link you can click on that actually takes you to the AliExpress store. So if you're ever in doubt, you can always go to the, and hopefully this is true still, Honda, you can go to your website. People can go to your website. They can just click somewhere. I think it's from the Putty page that I was able to do that, and it takes you right to AliExpress. I'm not sure if you guys are also on eBuy 7, but if you are, that'd be cool to have wherever your other store locations are, if there are any. If you could list those on your website, especially for the Putty, probably also for phase change and stuff, would be great. Oh, and your pads, especially those 15-watt pads. Those are amazing. They're currently the softest pad that I've tested. I still have to test some other pads, but there's not a whole lot of competition at that shore rating. Not that I really follow the ratings, I follow how it feels as the end user. Okay, we've got that cleaned up pretty good. We're not going to do any conformal coating around the CPU. Just going to get one of these pads here. Ecuador. That's unfortunate. It's really frustrating that, or not frustrating, it sucks. It sucks that not everyone has access to thermal putty. There's people that are stuck using really stiff pads, and yeah, no fun. Okay, we've got the heatsink cleaned up pretty good. There's just a slight discoloration on the core. I'm wondering if I just need a little bit more isopropyl or not. I'm gonna try and see if we can Rick's saying the link is still there and went to the store, but looks like they have not set Ecuador as one of the countries. Yeah, it's, you know, it's hard, right? Because I think for each country, when you have a product, you have to get all like importation paperwork done. Every country's got their own requirements for that kind of stuff. And it's got to be a lot of paperwork, I'm sure, to get stuff approved, and just the process. And I can't imagine it being a simple, fast thing. So this putty was probably used in something else already. It's still soft. This stuff is really nice. This is LTP8 from Honda, and okay, I'll have to clean the core in a sec. We're going to put a strip on the VRM here of the laptop. Yeah, because there was a very thin pad there. Now the pad looks like 1 mil by 5 millimeters, so I'm just going to wing it and assume that if I roll probably a 3 millimeter log, that'll be lots. We like to clean our silicone mat just so there's no dust, as little as possible. What we can also do is we can prep the surface, which I like to do. I like to press the putty down and lay a light layer of silicone oil. I'm assuming it's silicone oil. And that coats the surfaces, and it makes putty stick to it better, which is what we want. Okay. Oh, I'm just rolling Sorry, I'm just rolling a log of putty here. Looking at no movement probably isn't very exciting for you guys. So, yeah, that looks like 3.5 millimeters to me, to my my estimating eye. And this is good. We haven't applied PTM yet. We're going to put the putty on. We'll screw in this heatsink. We'll do a test fit. Because when you're not sure with putty, all you got to do is a test fit. Now this is a awkward crevice to get into and apply anything. I could also apply this to the heatsink, would work fine too. But I think... Wait, how does that look for you guys? Is it... Let's zoom in to see if it's centered. It's not. We're going to just pull it back a little bit. Something like that. Right? Now, we're going to... Okay, these are spring screws, so it's nice to see. And I'm just going to keep the gloves on this time, because why not? We'll zoom out so you guys can watch this process. I'm just going to get the screws started in. I think that's going. But we haven't applied PTM yet. That's okay. We're going to still do that. I'm just doing a little test fit here. Hammed out of the screw there. It's nice and flush. Okay, now we're going to take it out. And we're going to see how the putty squished. Okay, so the putty squished, right? And when we're judging on how good the squish is, we're looking at the heatsink and the layer of film that it laid on there. If you can tell if it made good contact, if there's missing film on the cooler itself, it actually looks like it made good contact. You can see how soft it is because it stuck. When I pulled it up, it stuck to the heatsink a little bit before it let go. That's nice. That's nice to see. Now, it's going to be really hard for me to get in there and reshape. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to push up the putty a little bit. I just need to make it a little bit tall again. That way, when I put the heatsink back into place and screw it back down, that's going to make contact again with the putty. You don't want to flatten the putty manually yourself too much. You want a lot of that process to happen during assembly. Man, it's so cool that we have a great collection of folks online tonight, of all nights, and Fahanda decides to show up. Really, thanks so much for joining the stream today. This has been fun for me. Yeah, I think it's just an honor that you're here. You just made my day, so really appreciate that. Now, when you guys are, let's say you are reopening a device, and with plans to like reuse the putty, maybe you tried paste and you wanted to switch out to a phase change, then what you want to do is leave that film from the putty. You don't clean that off. You don't want to remove oil out from the putty, especially if you're going to reuse it. If you're going to take it off, then by all means clean it then. If you're going to change it to something else, right? Otherwise, you just kind of leave that stuff alone and don't, you don't want to dry out your putty. Okay, we're going to put this Honda LTP81 back from whence it came in the little container. I think these containers changed, I'm not sure. They might not have, I'll have to check. I'll have to get some more to see what the newest container looks like. Oh, I almost missed some. We had some Honda Putty hiding over here. Okay, we're gonna go for some more PTM7950. This is the stuff I got from Caplink. Now this is a really narrow die. I'm still gonna cut it smaller. I'm just gonna wing it though. And we're gonna see how small we can get and still be able to peel this stuff. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. Now I'm gonna get my packing tape. Well, the 15 watt pad does compress down that far, but it could probably compress down further. It does have a bit higher viscosity feeling to it. Now I don't know if that's just because it was formed into a pad shape, or if it's actually got some other things, and I think that's probably some proprietary information that we probably won't find out as consumers. I wouldn't expect Honda to tell us all of their secrets about their product because, well, that's the competition is stiff, right? I think we mostly understand that. But as far as pads are concerned, they're the softest pads I've tested. Okay, so I attached tape to either side. We're not going corners this time. Oh, maybe I should have done corners. This is where I should probably have the little stickers that come with the phase change material sheets. With a larger piece of PTM or other phase change, this is usually easier to do. But today we are struggling a little bit with it, which is okay. That's going to be interesting. Okay, this is not ideal. We have full coverage with tape. That wasn't my intention. Maybe this is the new way. I don't know. Let's find out together and see if it works. We're going to zoom in. And we'll try and center this a little bit. And we're just going to place this down. Kind of somewhere. It doesn't matter if it's not in the middle. Looks like it's actually not too bad. So I'm just running my finger on it a little bit to make the PTM kind of adhere to the silicone. And then what I'm going to do is grab my tweezers just because it'll be easier. And when I peel this, again, I'm not going to pull it upwards. I'm going to pull it back towards itself. So we'll see if we'll see how this goes. Now it's kind of sticking to the substrate there. Okay, I've got a hold of it. I can't tell if it's working. I don't think it grabbed the... Okay, I don't usually like this method of using the tweezers today we're going to, because I was having a hard time with the tape. So I just grabbed the corner. Now, did you notice that because there was no overhang of the PTM, me grabbing the corner worked great? Because I pushed down with my finger and I made it stick to the shiny silicone. That's what you want to do. This is pretty easy to apply once you get used to it. And yeah, it doesn't have full coverage right now. You can see that border on the outside. This is 0.25 of a millimeter right now. When it melts, when it changes phase, and I'm going to get that temperature up to 80 degrees is my target. That's all going to flow out. I'm going to achieve full coverage. And I'm not worried about the hotspot too much for those few little moments where there's no full coverage, because the silicon itself has a thermal conductivity of like, what, 130 to 150, somewhere in there at the temperatures that we're talking about. So it's going to transfer the heat just fine. It's to the silicon that has contact. And it's not going to burn up or anything. Okay, so let's get this in position. And I'll have to clean these fans at some point. They're due for a cleaning. Just gonna get these started. This is one here, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Just doing the star pattern till the screws stop. Right, I'm really loading up that screw or the springs. So as the phase change material melts, this mounting pressure with these spring screws is going to push down on the cooler. That excess is going to flow out, and it's going to form around the edges of the silicone. That's how phase change works. It's not a paste. Yes, it's dry when you take your computer apart. It's supposed to be dry. It's a solid, a semi-solid anyways. That's what you want to have happen. I'm pretty happy with how this this putty and PTM job went. Going to assemble the cooler, not the cooler here. Where's the back plate? Okay, so I've got the battery. Got these screws. Oh, okay, here we go. I like this laptop's design. It's kind of cool. Let's we're gonna power this up just to make sure it works on stream, just that way you guys can see. I'm not going to let it get to the login screen because I can't remember if my name is on the login screen on this laptop, and of course I'm still trying to remain semi-anonymous. Of course, Honda knows who I am, and lots of other companies know who I am, my real name, and even my address. But you guys don't yet, and for now it's going to stay that way. But maybe someday, you never know. Let me just sorry, I just want to clean my workspace just a tiny bit. I was smart enough to cover up my my Windows code there. 2 layers of tape. Didn't want to. Okay, so that's locked. That one's locked.
But I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game.
Let me just hook up the power cable here. Bear with me a moment. I definitely have way too much stuff on my desk. That's just how it goes. Okay. It's a dirty screen. You're right. That is a dirty screen. But we should be able to see if it powers up. And yeah, that's going to stay dusty for now. So I've got the power cord hooked up. And I'm just going to... Okay, you can see I'm just going to go into privacy mode there. I'm going to log in. And why don't we just melt this together live? That sounds like fun. Okay, I gotta just get HW info up and running. I'm not going to show the desktop right now, just because there's like tons of icons, and we are trying to stay a little bit anonymous. Need to really crank that. So we're not going to do like a benchmark. We're just going to sensors only. We're just going to run some firmark. Do this. Yeah, there we go. I realized I'm not going to be able to show you guys. Wow, maybe we can. Let me, that's not very good on the cord, is it? I should be careful here. Caution. Yeah, we're good. And I'm just going to... Oh, I realize I can't do that. I gotta... Okay. Let's see if I can... I'm going to try zooming in. I'm kind of doing like an awkward laptop hold here, but I kind of want to do this live because it kind of seems like fun. And we're going to take this guy. Okay, it's kind of janky, right? And we're going to fix the... Okay, that's what the focus should look like. This is what the focus looks like right now. Hey, Fahanda, thanks for joining the stream. Hopefully you guys have a good meeting, and yeah, we'll be in touch. It was great having you here. I really appreciate it. Thanks for chatting with everyone in the chat. I wasn't able to keep up with it, obviously, but we really appreciate the products you make, and it's great to have competition in the space, and you're a welcome addition to that. And so I just really want to thank you for that. You make great putty. We like your pads, and I'm looking forward to testing your phase change materials as well. Thanks very much. All right, so CPU. I keep wanting to use the mouse and then realizing it's not hooked up to the laptop. It's only 74? Whoa, the clock is crazy higher than it was. I was throttling down to 450 megahertz on the GPU clock before I did this with whatever the decade-old pace. That's to be expected. I'm confident that fan speed's not actually reading correct. I wouldn't trust the 1 RPM currently, but this is already lower at a higher clock speed than I was previously seeing. GPU utilization 99%. GPU fan PWM 35%. Does that make sense for how much it's doing? Does it say how many watts? See, I don't think we have watts in here. Let's scroll back up again. The motherboard, it's sitting at like 50 degrees ish. It topped out max at 57.9, but that's probably before the fan ramped up. CPU package is only 50. See, I'm not melting PTM right now. It might have melted right off the bat. And what I should have done was I should have recorded it. I didn't. I can do this again. We have to. Yes, we will insist on making 35. Thank you. Yeah, we really appreciate you, Fahanda, and thanks for joining the stream today. That was awesome. I'm pretty happy with the thermals already. It's starting to warm up now a bit more. That's what we want. This is the kind of thing where if I can't control the fan speed, I'll go as far as blocking airflow manually myself while I'm watching the temperatures. Right, that way you can control, but usually I try to get this hotter, but it's already, okay, now we're getting the GPU up to that 80 degrees, which is good. It's kind of what I want. It's like 78. Is it in quiet mode? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think I have the smart suite for this laptop installed, like the Clevo or Sager software right now. Yeah, I actually don't know if that's what the clock is supposed to be or not. It does seem low. Then again, this is the HD 7970, I think, or 7990 mobile. Well, it's video card, XMX video card. I'd have to look up the specs, but I'm just telling you right now that these temperatures, I don't have to point at it. I can use the mouse. No, I can't use the mouse. I have to use this one. These temperatures are already lower and a higher clock speed than the decade-old paste. And I think the GPU memory was still at 1200. That was still full clock before. But smell test. It smells like a finely aged dust, like a decade-old dust. There's notes of Alberta air. I'm smelling a little bit of desert sand from Harad, and also the red sand from Harad, and then there's also just ever so slightly, sorry, the red sand's from Riyadh, not Harad. It's got Riyadh sand. Yeah, I can smell a little bit of that, and there's a little bit of shawarma, and it's very good. It's a very good smell. No, it smells great. It just smells like heated dust. There's no like negative smoky smell to it that's bad. So 80 degrees, that's where we wanted to be with the GPU. Yeah. And let's go back up here. We got core temperature. See, the CPU is not hot enough right now. It's not going to be suitable for me to like try and block the airflow while I'm holding this, I don't think. Maybe I can. Okay, I'm kind of putting my hand behind. I'm blocking some airflow. Let's see if it goes up. We got 53 on the package. 54. Yeah, Farbs, that was so cool. And I missed almost all of the chat, I'm sorry, but it was kind of important for me to not be too distracted on this one. Like it seemed important to stay on top of the process, as it were. So it's still just 51. My hand is getting pretty warm. Let's see. PL1, PL2 limits. Package power. Okay, we're only getting 6 watts of package power right now. That's okay, now I'm no longer blocking the airflow, but at least not too much. I mean, if it's not throttled, this is GPU intensive, not CPU intensive. So as long as we're still getting 99% utilization, the clocks are still the same. That's current. So so the CPU is not needing to burn more. Okay, well, water's going up there a little bit. What's our frequency at? 3.2. You get 3.3. So this is a Core i7 3630QM, which, yeah, I can't even remember what that's supposed to do, but I don't think anything bad's happening. Actually, I should also mention this, and I've got screenshots somewhere, but before we did this repaste, there was temperatures. It was peaking at 103. I'm still using my finger. It was peaking at 103 either on the core. There was like a couple like 100s, 101s, 103s. So that paste was like so cooked. There was not much that we could do to make that better. Oh, I think I blocked the wrong hole. That's the GPU. This is the CPU. Okay. I feel like I was blocking the GPU before. I don't think the CPU fan is... Okay, I'm blocking the CPU now. There's an air duct at the back. I think this is going to work. I don't know. Gab Crunchy says, I can't find any videos focusing on thermal putty here in YouTube. Thank heavens I found this channel. Thanks for the info, Snark. Yeah, man. My pleasure. I'm glad you found this. There are a few videos out there from other YouTubers that use Putty that I even kind of like was watching them. I wasn't the first one to make videos. I guess I've just cranked it up to 11, you know? There's a video that Frame Chasers made, or a couple of them. He put some on some... I think he did some shims on a card with Putty, pretty sure. I think he also did DDR4, I want to say, B-Die. He's got a B-Die video. And then there's Tech Shinji, I should say. And he did Putty, I believe, and shims. He was using TGPP10. Back then, we were all using TGPP10. So it was cool to have that. You know, the CPU's not really going up much, hey? Is it all good to use on the CPU? No. Don't use Putty. So, Amaya Tetsuki, thank you for your thermal Putty videos and chart. They're super helpful and going to get some. Nice. Is it all good to use on the CPU? How long does it last? No, you don't want to use Putty on the CPU. You want to use a phase change material or a traditional paste. I would recommend a phase change material like Honeywell PTM7950. That's the one that kind of like opened our eyes to it being great. Linus Tech Tips covered this 2 years ago, I think. PTM7950. Now we've got lots of other entrances into the market, including Fahonda has got their offering. It's like a green phase change. I still need to test that. There's Thermalright Hylos V1 and V2. There's Upsiren PCM1 and PCM2. There's Thermal Grizzly's Phase Sheet PTM. There's G-Lid Heat Phase Ultra. There's Maxtor XTP001. There's Layered TPCM 7000 series. The 7250 is 0.25 of a millimeter. The 7200 is 0.2 of a millimeter thick. And onwards, there's PCM 8550 from Fahonda, that's right. There's a lot of different phase changes out there. And there's quite a few that have started to get tested, but the one that's been tested the most, and that a lot more people have heard of, is Honeywell PTM7950. It's what Lenovo was putting on the CPU and GPU of their laptops from stock, at least for some of them. So, yeah, let's see. Okay, so we got the GPU up to 87 at one point, which is nice. That's good. And it doesn't seem like it's been throttling though. 84. Obviously, we're not in like an ideal position. Airflow is not great currently the way I've propped up the laptop. I'm gonna have to off-screen test out with the CPU and do another test and try and get it to melt better. I think it's like great already, and we're just gonna make it better. So let me just close up the laptop here. I'll be right with you in a second. Power brick. Okay, folks. Let's catch up on the chat. I'm just gonna drink some Nuka-Cola water. Yeah. Just got some water in there. Explody Lappy says K5 Pro is probably the only thing most of them uses. Maybe TGPP10. Oh, for like laptops and stuff. Yeah. Onwards from Lenovo. Gonna need some Prime 95 for the CPU. Definitely. I just didn't have time or didn't think to install Prime 95 ahead of time. So this is for Honda Putty. That's the LTP81. We got the Upsiren UTP8. We've got the sheet of a chunko off of the Honeywell I bought from Caplink. So this is for sure legitimate Honeywell PTM. They're one of their the suppliers for Honeywell, or distributors, I should say, not suppliers. But man, that was a good stream. I'm really thankful you guys all came to hang out. I'm gonna have to look at the chat. Wow, let's just do a roll call here. Who all did we have? We had Thermal Channel today. We had Code String. Hello, Mr. Code String over in Africa. Welcome aboard. Good to see you again. We got Cloud Yak. We've got Robert Starkey, Nick's brother, Parbs. We've got Bring Back the Dislike Button, 100%. It's good to have you guys all here. We've got Zerpocalypse. We had Explode Lappy. We had Technician. Thanks for the vote on that. The first putty we applied. Did I say Robert Starkey already? It's Robert Starkey again. We had Alpha, which was the first time. No, second time I think I've seen Alpha before. Yeah, Explode Lappy. I'm just like scrolling through the chat. And then we had for Honda. All of a sudden be like, boom! And Fate joined in. Welcome back, Fate. It was a great... Rick, Raw. Oh, I can't order because... Oh, yeah, Ecuador. That's right. Fate Parbs. We had... Gab Crunchy. It's at the bottom, I think. And then we had Amaya Tetsuki. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it was a awesome stream. We did a laptop from start to finish. I showed test fits of the heatsink. Does anyone have on screen how long the stream has been going? I don't have that information in front of me right now. Just to see how long that took us for me to do both the GPU and the CPU thermals while talking about it in a stream live. Like, that didn't take too long, did it? Was it over 2 hours? I don't know. Or was it less? If I go here, go to my channel, it says, if I click on this, it didn't take too long. We'll mute that. Okay, it's 2 hours. That was a 2 hour long stream. And we were basically done the job half an hour ago. You know, so an hour and a half. That's not bad. Is it going to take longer for some folks initially? Yeah, totally. And also, some laptops are a little bit harder than others, but 2 hours and 12 minutes. You guys are the greatest. Thanks for answering my questions. I just looked away from the screen the wrong time. Guys, I think I just realized I don't have the mic added to the countdown screen, so I can't actually talk there. But that was fun for me. I had a blast. And we're going to do it again another time. We'll do like live testing too. It's going to be fun. And if you haven't yet, check out the Thermal channel. They're doing great stuff over there too. Really cool testing, like automated like heat cycling and stuff. Like, that's cool. I haven't done that or know how to do that. Could I learn how? Probably I could if I tried, but that's like way above my head right now, is automating testing like that. I think that's just like the coolest thing ever. And just like testing lots of pastes at different loads. That's probably the biggest strength there, is that testing. Because then people see if there's a difference in the products. Oh, we've got Johnny Elijah Luke. Welcome to the stream. So we got if you guys have any questions, now's the time to ask while I'm doing a little bit of desk cleanup, and I'll glance at them. But we've got a question from Parbs. They're asking, do you recommend doing an initial squish on application to see coverage and then lifting and reforming and replace again? Totally. That's what we did today, both on the GPU application. If you scroll back and watch the video again for around there, you know, you can, if you have a laptop that has thermal pads right now, then you can take those pads off, measure them with a caliper, and then use the putty calculator, and then roll that log, and then put it in place, and it'll work fine. You probably don't even need to do a test fit, to be honest. But a lot of laptops going forward are not going to have pads. When you guys open them up, they're going to have a factory putty, and sometimes it looks pretty liquidy and not very confidence building, let's say. And so in those cases, it probably, well, listen to your thermals, and hopefully you have memory junction temperatures that you can actually keep an eye on things. But there's some like really crappy putties out there that are getting put on laptops. It's a physics thing. You can't just you can't have a liquidy, like wettish putty like that and it perform very good. And that comes down to densification and particle sizes. That being said, you know, Houndseye HY236 is pretty impressive as far as what they've pulled off, because they've got, you know, reasonably good mid-range right, Houndseye's got mid-range performance. Let's look on the list here. If you guys look in the very middle of the left chart, 54 degrees delta for the test on Test Bench 2. Right, and they can squish down. I need to add that to the chart, how far they can squish down, like on digital calipers is how I measured them on my Mitutoyos. They're only 5 degrees. Let's see, 49-ish to 54. They're 4.5. They're 5 degrees behind the top putties. Would I use the top putties most of the time? Totally. If I have thin gaps, it's right now the only option, in my personal opinion, is Houndseye when the gaps are really thin, right below that 0.5 of a millimeter, because it can compress down to 0.1 of a millimeter really easily, and on calipers 0.03, which is just nuts. So yeah, Parbs, I think it's a good idea, especially for newbies, to see if they've used enough or too much putty too. And squishing doesn't hurt performance, so why not? Totally. So if you can measure, that's an option. If you can't measure thermal pads, then, because there's no thermal pads, then apply it as best you can, mount the cooler, take the cooler or the heatsink, take the heatsink off, and see how it's squished. Ideally, when you're doing that process, you don't want to apply your paste or your phase change yet. You want to leave that off until you get the putty dialed in. Once the putty's dialed in and you're confident it's good, reshape it, or at least pinch the edges of it to make it like stand up a little bit. Sometimes the putty is so soft that it's gonna get gooey on you, so you need to actually reshape it. Wear gloves. Guys, it's important to wear gloves. 2 reasons. Silicone oil, it's not something you actually want to get on your hands too much. Some people are sensitive to silicone oil. But another thing is, you don't want to add your skin oils to the mixture. One, I don't think it's supposed to mix with silicone oil. And two, you don't want to affect the adhesion of the putty to the surfaces. You know, prep your component surfaces where you're going to put the putty, and then leave the heat sink alone. Do your test fit, take it off, look at the heat sink, see where the outline is of the coating of film. You'll be able to tell if you had enough putty. If there's full coverage on the heat sink side, like a full contact patch, you'll be able to see that. If there's not, you'll actually see like voids or gaps where there wasn't as enough, and then that just means add more putty. If you have too much putty, then it'll squish out the sides. You can also put a little dot of thermal paste on the CPU and GPU die, just to do like for the putty squish test, just to see if you're getting core contact or not. That'll actually tell you if the heatsink has made contact with the CPU and GPU while you're doing that putty squish test. That's our current best advice that we've all built as a community. This isn't me. This is an us thing, and it's been great growing this knowledge with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Well, folks, I think let's see what else we got for questions. 40x40 for AM4 and AM5, yeah, and 4050 for the LG 1700, and it'll be tons. Yeah, you could actually cut, like, you know, it down to like 25% coverage and it would still be fine, because AMD AM4s come in at 37.5 millimeters, and you really only need, it's ideally, I'd cut that down to 30, so you could have a 1 centimeter border of PTM on that 40x40 that you could use for GPU dies, CPU dies on a laptop. You could use it on Xbox or PlayStation. I recommend you cut stuff smaller for sure. I think that's a wrap for tonight, everyone. Just want to say thanks for coming out, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Snarks Domain out.